How is it going, everyone? And welcome back to another Conquest of Azeroth video. Today, we are going to be leveling a fresh level 1 Reaper to the current max level on the server, which is level 50. And seeing how that goes. This video will have a little bit of highlights of me trying out the different specs while going through the levels, which did not take very long. It took me, I'd say, 5 or 6 hours altogether to get everything done. That is, of course, with the beautiful help of the 7-day XP bonus and the XP pots you can buy in the store. So those are really nice to have. And I mean, obviously, not everyone will be able to get those because, money can be issues for people. But since I had already donated quite a bit to the basic Ascension servers, I have quite a stockpile of the Conquest of Azeroth, like the beta coins that they have. So I always have access to these XP bonuses when I'm leveling. But yeah, so the Reaper class, I was really surprised about this. I don't know what I was really expecting, as I never played the Reaper before this. And when I first started this with a couple buddies back then, when it was, first came out to the like the public access so you could buy into it, one of them ended up playing the Reaper, but I don't remember any of it, like it really being anything like this. Nowhere near. Sorry. Honestly, I almost thought that it was like a caster class, but this is as far from a caster class as it can really be. If anything, this is like a mix between one of the specs you play as like a ghost rogue, the next one is just a huge heavy hitter, like two-handed like bruiser, and then it has a really strong tank class that's almost like a blood death knight, really, with how much healing you end up getting from it and your damage mitigation you can get and the parrying. It's really, really good, and I was really happy with what the devs for this have done with it, because it's really fun. All of the specs were really fun. They're all super unique. They're all really fleshed out. They all feel different. They all have a much different class fantasy. And it was super fun to play with. And I enjoyed pretty much every second I was leveling this character. There was, of course, there was one time where I ended up getting wrecked absolutely by an elite, but that happens to the best of us, right? You're messing around, you're not paying attention, you just get absolutely gobsmacked by an elite hitting you for a third of your health. So that was kind of annoying. But besides that, it was really not that bad. I really enjoyed it, like I said. And in the background, you can see I started out in Elwyn Forest, which on the server, like on my other video, they have it so the leveling scaling in Elwyn Forest goes up to level 20. So I was able to pretty much, you know how it is, just do like a couple quests with these huge XP bonuses and really just finish up in Elwyn, get to level like 22 within like 30 minutes of playing. So that really zoomed by. And then I stopped over in Westfall to go from level 20 to like 33 or something, I think. It goes up to level 40, but there's a certain like set of quests in Westfall that I really enjoy to do, which is these Defias ones, and then the Harvest Watcher ones, which are those are fun to do. So I always like to do those when I'm leveling characters. And what's funny is that I have recently been playing another really popular private server that just recently came up, which is that Turtle WoW one. And so it's crazy to go from leveling on that one where I'm leveling as a warrior and it's super slow and I have to take it slow and everything is a danger to me, and then coming to this server where it's just every class just absolutely wipes the floor with like packs and packs of mobs. But the Reaper has to be probably the strongest class I played, besides the Guardian, when the max level was level 40. For a while there, they had it so you could get up to like 95% block, which was just a lot. That was a ton of fun. I have a couple videos of me like fucking around with that, like with my Scarlet Monastery one where I soloed it. It was just insanely overpowered. But this one, it's really strong, and I think they're going to keep a lot of it. They might, tune the damage a bit or reduce the survivability, but it's really, really good, and it's definitely the best class I played. Would I say it's the most fun class, though? That's a tough one. Maybe, honestly. If I was in the mood for a melee character, I think this probably beats out my Guardian and my Barbarian that I played. This one just... It felt great to play, just having all of this healing and these big AoE, like, cleaves and just all of that stuff. It felt like a really powerful warrior. Well, this spec anyway, which is the, I think it is called the... What is it called? Give me 1 sec. It's actually called the Harvest, yeah, sorry. The Harvest specialization. It took me a bit to figure it out, because I'm not in game right now, so I had to look over some footage. But yeah, so the Harvest spec, it really feels like a really powerful, like, mix between a Death Knight and a Warrior, if I had to, compare it to base WoW. It was really strong, and the two-handed variant of it, which is what the Harvest, well, that's what I went with anyway. I liked the two-handed variant for Harvest spec more than the dual wielding. But yeah, it was just really, really good, really strong. I can't really complain. I leveled in this specialization, I'd say, from about level 1 to 30, and I never had any troubles. It got kind of dicey sometimes with how much damage you can end up taking if you spam your because some of your abilities, they take health percentage. So if you're spamming those, it can kind of hurt when you're fighting a bunch of enemies. But for the most part, it was really chill. It was really relaxing, and I was able to keep myself topped up with the different ways that they have healing available for the class, or for the specialization specifically. Because the other two specs, they have their own ways of dealing with the damage that you self-inflict, and I think they do them better, which you're about to see on this one. This is the first time I'm trying out the soul specialization, which is the one where it's more of like a stealthy rogue, like teleporting specialization. That's how I see it anyway. And I was going to try it out sooner, but it took a while for me to find two one-handed weapons to dual wield, and I finally ended up getting them, which you can see I'm adding all of the different spells and checking them out in the spell book before I fight anything, because I'm trying to figure out like what they're trying to go for here, like how the class works, the rotation and stuff. And I think I figured it out a bit, which is, you spam, or you go stealth, you use your I have it on my one key, which is like, it's kind of like a teleport behind them kind of thing. And that's what I use, and then you open with that, and then you hit them with your dirge, and then you spam them with the reap, and it does a ton of damage. And I really liked how the healing worked for this specialization specifically, which you heal a bunch if you're in the stealth, and after you kill, every kill that you get, it actually puts you back into the stealth for about 2 or 3 seconds, and that gives you enough time usually. Yeah, you can see there. It usually gives you enough time to heal up any damage from the enemy before it. And this spec did a ton of damage. Well, the Harvest spec did a bunch of damage too, but this one felt really good too. I think I prefer this one. Well, it's tough to say. I'm usually a big two-hander kind of guy, but this, for being a dual wield, like roguey type of class, I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it much more than the Witch Hunter that I played recently, because this one just felt like it did way more damage, and I loved the different effects they had for all the different spells. They looked great for this one, and it was just a ton of fun. You can see that, yeah, I'm absolutely destroying these enemies. They're scaled up to me, so they're not that weak, and just being able to go from one to the next and just teleporting, because there's not really a cooldown on it. It was just great to do, and yeah, I enjoyed this one. The 2 ability, the shift, I wasn't sure. The tooltip's a bit bugged on it, I think, because it says it'll teleport you 0 yards forward. So I was trying to figure out how to really, if it still worked, which it kind of did. It would teleport you like it'd go like it'd give you a little push, but not. I mean, at that point you're better off just using your one ability, which is that right there, where it teleports right behind them, because it adds a dot onto the enemy, and all that damage really starts to scale once you get like the couple things on them. Like, it's just really, really good. And yeah, so for the soul spec, it was really fun. The harvest spec was really fun. But if I had to really choose one, it was definitely the tank spec, which is the Domination. And we're going to be seeing a little bit of gameplay of that coming up in a bit, where I'm going to be in Stranglethorn Valley. But I just wanted to finish up showcasing this spec a little bit, because I know a lot of people really enjoy this. Like, one of my good friends, he's a really big Rogue fan, and he absolutely loved playing this class. And back when PvP was really like popping for this server, he would play it all the time, and he'd always geek about how great it was. But yeah, I can see this spec just absolutely destroying. Like, I can't imagine even fighting against this as like my necromancer. This just seems absolutely insane, just the incredible burst damage. So I don't know if they have any kind of like like scaling where like they scale back the damage a bit for PvP, because if not, you can just end up like two-shotting someone with these classes. But yeah, this is the one I was talking about earlier, which is the Domination? Yeah, the Domination spec. And this one, I ended up absolutely loving this specialization, and which is kind of surprising, because I'm not usually a big fan of tank specs in on like my classes. Like, even in base WoW or on this server, the tank specs that you do get, the Guardian one isn't really that bad, but this one felt really, really good. I loved the uptime for all of your abilities. Sorry about that. That was a notification. I love. Oh yeah. I love the uptime for all your abilities, and like you have this like death and decay type ability, which is it's an AOE damaging one, which it leeches to you, and you can see just how much healing you get with this spec. And after you get some of the talents in the skill tree, if you choose the right ones, you can end up just getting a crap ton of health back just over and over and over again. And yeah. For what this is, I ended up finding a pretty good two-handed weapon, so that's why I ended up switching after being in Westfall a bit with the dual wield specialization. But I ended up finding this weapon. Yeah, you can see, just look at that, just massive damage, massive AoEs, and they do nothing to me really. And it gets even more crazy the more defensive cooldowns and like healing cooldowns you get from the skill tree. And this feels unkillable, and I really wanted to do. Oh yeah, there was a blue one-hander. I thought about switching over to dual wield again, but I was like, nah, this is just too much fun. And I love how it has that like Shadowmourne effect that you see on in Wrath of the Lich King with the Shadowmourne with the souls and stuff. That just looks so cool to me. I love it. But yeah, what was I saying about this spec? It was really good, really tanky, does a ton of damage. It doesn't do as much damage as the other two specs, I don't think, but for the damage you're sacrificing, the survivability you get with this one, just it totally makes up for it, because you can end up just pulling like 10-15 enemies and then just AoEing them down and life stealing from them, and you become unstoppable. And it really is, it's really good. It feels really good. If I had any things to really say on like the downside of it, is I wish that the AoE death and decay was a bit different. I wish it worked how like consecration works, where you press the button and it puts it around you. I mean, I can see how this would be really useful for pulling like groups of enemies and stuff, kind of like how Death Knights do when they're tanking. But that's just a personal like pet peeve of mine. It was kind of annoying having to press my 4 key and then left click on the ground to place it, which I'm not sure if there's a way to change that. I mean, there probably is. I'm not very experienced in that regard, so I have no idea. But yeah, just look at that crazy just damage, and you just heal everything back up, and it feels great, dude. That's really all they're really dude, but that's all I really have to say about this. It just nothing nothing really feels that out of place for this. And I what I don't know if I wish for anything more like class fantasy wise, but for what there is, it's really good. And this is a little bit later on. This is I'm finishing up a bunch of quests so I can hit the max level, which is level 50. And this is another one of those. This is the Pello area where I end up getting absolutely wrecked by the Pello elite after you collect them all again. I got absolutely destroyed on my Necromancer, and then I end up getting destroyed on my tanky character, so that that was really frustrating to deal with, because I ended up finding this really good two-handed blue weapon, the Blade of the Titans, which it outclassed anything else I found. So I was really happy to find that instead of more one-handed weapons. I mean, I ended up finding more, but having access to a good two-hander made it feel a lot better to keep playing as the spec. And this is actually the spec I ended up getting to level 50 with. After I switched to it in Stranglethorn Valley around like level 35, I absolutely fell in love with the spec, and I could really see myself playing this when it fully comes out. If they keep if they can keep the soul of what they have going with it, then I could definitely see myself playing this when it's fully released at level 60. I don't know how good it would be tanking wise, because I still think the Guardian will always be the strongest tank wise, because it's kind of like the warrior in classic WoW, where it's like warrior's just always going to be the best. But there might be better ones. I'm not too sure, as I haven't played all of the different or all the different classes on the server. I've played probably about 6 or 7 of them, but this definitely has to be my favorite, I'd say. And just the access to all of these AoEs and the healing and the damage reduction. It feels really, really good. So this is me checking out the different talents that we have for the 3 different specializations, and we're checking out the tank ones first because this was the one that I was playing with. And you can see like the counter scythe is really good, just increases your parry rating, and then another AoE cooldown, which gives you more of your soul shards, which are really helpful to have because a lot of your abilities can work around it. And like one of the talents I have, it gives me a bunch of healing if I can get to 3 of them. So this is nice to have. And there's a lot of different instant abilities you can have, but since I'm a boomer, I wanted to keep as many of the the passive ones as if I have to choose between active or passives, I tend, even if the passives are a bit weaker, I tend to like those more because just I'm not that quick with my abilities, so being able to just sit back a little bit more and relax and let the passives do a lot of the work really helps, which you can see with a lot of these different talents for the Domination spec. That Maw Knight one, that's another really good one. But some of them are kind of counterintuitive to each other. Like one of the specialization, it wants you to spend your your souls, but then some of the other specs want you to fill out the souls so they can activate. But I don't know. It's fine either way, I suppose. And then this is me checking out the Harvest one, and of course you can always just pause it if you haven't read these abilities or you want to see what they do. That's what I do a lot when I check out these different classes. I love just reading the different abilities because a lot of them they feel so unique and different from base World of Warcraft that it's just base World of Warcraft, it's kind of stayed the same for years now. Like they haven't really added too many crazy abilities. Like they'll change it up a little bit, but it stayed pretty core the entire time. So I really just love like looking at all these different abilities and seeing how the devs have added them to the classes, like seeing how their twist, their take on it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, this one's really good. It seems like there's a lot of self-damaging abilities in this one, but then there's also a lot of talents that give you your health back. So it's kind of like a tightrope with this one. I could definitely see this one being the DPS for the dungeon specialization. It seems like they're going for that for a lot of these different classes, like. The Witch Hunter had the darkness spec. That one felt really good for dungeons, and the harvest one I feel like would be really good for dungeons because a lot of those it has a lot of different AoE ability, or a lot of different cleave abilities I should say, and you can augment some of your different abilities to give you more cleaving, which is just, if that's just really good in dungeons overall because you're usually fighting packs of enemies, so the more cleave you have the better, right? And then this is me checking out the soul ability, or the soul specialization, and this one was, it seems very PvP focused. There's a lot like how there is in the other specializations where there's a lot of like interrupts and getting out of CCs and different things like that. But one thing that I really liked about the soul specialization, which is coming up in a little bit. You should be seeing it. It's either in this row or the next row, and it's like the super it's like the super like transformation, and that seems like a really fun ability to have. I don't know if it changes what you look like, but as I didn't have access to like two one-handed weapon, Endbringer, that one right there, where you become an Endbringer, like that, just it sounds so cool to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it's just great. Like, it just puts a smile on my face seeing these different abilities. Like, the class fantasy for Conquest of Azeroth is really just second to none, I think. Like, no other servers have really captured the spirit of this, and I think that's just really good. And I'm hoping that this server gets more publicity, right? And gets more people on it, because people are really missing out not getting to play this. It kind of sucks that you have to pay into it right now, but once this server is released, once it hit level 60 and they open it up to everyone, I really think it's going to be great for everyone. And people are really going to love it if they can figure it out. I mean, they have with the regular Ascension WoW server, so I'm sure they'll figure out how to get people to join this one. But yeah, this is about the end of it. I'm just checking out the couple final talents, and if you find any other classes you want me to check out, put it down in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next video, which might be Turtle WoW. Peace.